gentlemen, if I might have your attention, please. My name is Michael King. I'm with Resistance Theater. I'm the producer and director of tonight's Act of Resistance through theater. We open tonight with the Raging Grannies. Now, for over 20 years, the Raging Grannies have been stirring up good trouble through song. They take familiar tunes, you will recognize many of them, and match them to the issues of the day. Tonight, they will favor us with a number of songs and get us roused up to resist and support resistance. Now, we printed out some programs. I think most of you have sat down in seats with them. Here are the songs they're going to select from. You can follow along. You can join in if you know the tune. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I give you... Not yet? You're missing one person. It's going to throw off the schedule. Ah! There. And so, without further ado, I give you the Raging Grannies.
We are glad to see you.
Yeah, we're trying to.
We never forget Grandma's a suffragette. We're fighting still for women's rights and we ain't got them yet. But we won't sit aside, burst into tears and cry. The world won't change without us, we hold up half the sky. When you want things changed, call in your sisters, call in your mothers, call in your grannies. When you want things changed, call in a woman, because we hold up half of the sky. When you want things changed, call in your sisters, call in your mothers, call in your grannies. When you want things changed, call in a woman, because we hold up most of the sky. So this group has been around for 30 years. Can we all move up one step, because I'm bumping into a chair. Okay. Oh, Mary, I'm
How's that?
scared for you.
Mary needs to come forward. Oh, wait. All right, I'll move over. No,
Okay. Can you try? Can you? I see it. Okay. Vote out the fascists. What do you think we saw? A trashed U.S. Capitol. No respect for the law. A fake, bloated leader, so skilled at tweeting his lies. Promised mighty the world, and now we're fried. Vote out the fascists. What do you think we see? Folks in step with their leaders, a Mussolini wannabe. Vote out the fascists. What do you think we see? Congress stuffed with right-wing loons to help the democracy. I really appreciate hearing you sing along. I hope it's light enough. You ready? You're first. Okay. Classism ageism, sexism, racism, any old kind of slap in the facism, got no scientific basis, banish them for good. Classism, ageism, sexism, racism, any old kind of slap in the facism, got no scientific basism, banish them for good. Beneath the nuclear umbrella, we're as safe as we can be. Trump is such a pleasant fella, he'll look out for you and me. We don't have to think about it, our defense has been assured. What would we all do without it? Don't it make you feel secure? A few miles off we have our tridents, those grand nuclear submarines. All those warheads will protect us. We just love those war machines. It's true that if we ever use them, we will all be blown to bits. If that's the way that we find safety, we have lost our wits. Oh, police have perfect visions to distinguish wrong from right. Their decisions are made easy. It's like telling black from white. Oh, the drug war gives incentive for 1,000 stops a day. First they cuff you, then they search you. You're not guilty, but you pay.
Totem Carver, death in 1 year. The policeman shouted stop. Didn't hear him, just kept walking. Do you think he heard the shots?
Children playing with their toy guns. If they're white, would they be dead? Maybe talked to, maybe scolded, not a bullet to their head. Oh, police have perfect vision to distinguish wrong from right. Their decisions are made easy. It's like telling black from white. Yeah, come on, all you Republicans, trying to help women again. Sure they won't do what's best with the positive pregnancy test. Full speed ahead, the agenda is set. Impose all the bans you can get. And it's 1, 2, 3, what are we fighting for? You know my body's my own. Why can't you leave it alone? And there's 5, 6, 7, don't regulate my pearly gates. Ain't it time to hear my voice? Listen up, we need a choice. Come on, politicians, moving fast. Your big chance has come at last. Supreme Court didn't hesitate to pull the plug on Roe v. Wade. Doesn't matter what a woman needs, gotta protect those seeds. And it's 1, 2, 3, what are we fighting for? You know my body's my own, why can't you leave it alone? And it's 5, 6, 7, don't regulate my pearly gates. Ain't it time to hear my voice? Listen up, we need a choice. Well, come on, people throughout the land, come on with us and take a stand. Register and get out the vote, elect officials who are righteous folk. Everyone's mind should be their own, why can't they leave us alone? And it's 1, 2, 3, what are we fighting for? You know my body's my own, why can't you leave it alone? And it's 5, 6, 7, don't regulate my pearly gates. Ain't it time to hear my voice? Listen up, we need a choice. Listen up, we need a choice.
People in the back, there are seats up in the very front and on this side of the theater as well. Incarceration, eh? Was Beth going to introduce this? No. Oh,
A couple billion people and many innocents are doing time and lots of time, time and time again. What a waste of their potential to make them waste away. Seems like justice never was just in the American way. Involuntary labor is slavery that's a lie, 'cause slavery wasn't ended, it was only corporatized. Big business makes big profits when people work for free. The cost is 80 billion, paid by you and me. The pipeline to the prisons starts with kids in school, locks them up like criminals for breaking minor rules. In prisons across the country, prisoners black and brown, 'cause the system's rigged against them, we need to shut it down. We love to punish people and strip them of their worth. We've got the largest prison population on the earth. Keep filling up the prisons just to watch them grow. We're an incarceration nation. How low can we go? How low can we go?
This song came from the Piedmont Grannies, right? Mm-hmm. The Grannies, we were the first U.S. group 30 years ago, and now there are 24?
No, 80.
80?
80 all over
The
the
world
US and
or
Canada.
US?
And also
Yes, okay.
there were also enough countries in the world, and there are a few in other countries, yes.
Yeah, there was even one in Moscow once.
Sorry, Romo. We were angry when you
Raised all those taxes on the poor. We were outraged when you authorized those pipelines. Infrastructure's gone to pot, our grandkids are getting shot. So we're raging, 'cause now you pissed off grandma. You gerrymandered our elections and it's harder now to vote. You robbed women of their rights to family planning. Gay or straight or trans or poor, we're worse off now than we were. You ignored us, so now you pissed off grandma. Social Security's in danger, Medicaid and Medicare. Folks are dying every day for lack of health care. Prisoners are locked in cages, workers can't get living wages. This is cruel, and you really pissed off grandma. You're stealing public taxes to support those private schools, and you're banning books and teaching whitewashed history. With our teachers unsupported and more immigrants deported, feel our wrath, you truly pissed off Grandma. But we grannies have grown wise to your greed and to your lies, and we know wrong from right and right from wrong. We'll keep singing through our pain with the Poor People's Campaign and throw you out, 'cause you really pissed off Grandma.
And now,
we're really pissed off Grandma.
And hopefully everybody else.
Our next song is dedicated to and in solidarity with all our sisters and brothers who are migrants.
Immigration, I've been thinking what a grand war this would be if we all were treated fairly, honest workers, you and me. Separating family members, we know that just can't be right. Families need to stay together. When will we all see the light? Parents are all working tough jobs that we don't want to do. Then it's said that jobs are stolen. Don't believe it, it's not true. Snatch up people without warning, not one phone call disappeared. Send them to a cruel country where their voices can't be heard. Salvador is an example of the worst thing we can do. Let's get rid of racist thinking. Lots of us were immigrants too.
okay, this is a classic call and response. You'll recognize the tune. Oh, when the rich all pay their tax.
All pay their tax. Oh, when the rich all pay their tax. How I want to be in that number. When the rich all pay their tax.
When Congress speaks.
When Congress speaks.
For you and me.
For you and me. When Congress speaks for you and me. How I want to be in that number. When Congress speaks for you and me.
When the union's voice.
When the union's voice
is finally heard.
is finally heard. When the union's voice is finally heard. How I want to be in that number. When the union's voice is finally heard.
When workers rise.
When workers rise
and organize.
and organize. When workers rise and organize. How I want to be in that number. When workers rise and organize. There's no business like war, business the best business we know. Never mind the homeless and the hungry, never mind the people without jobs. Nowhere can you get that special feeling like when you're piling up the bombs. There's no business like war, business the best business we know. 60 seconds spending is a lot of bucks. It seems a lot, but golly shucks. The same amount buys food and clothes for all the world. For all the world. Now you've grabbed yourself a new supply of oil. Goody goody, and it's located on Venezuelan soil. Goody goody, do you think that this will fix the problems we must lick?
Like millions without food and homes.
And water not fit to drink. Ta-ra!
nothing's changed.
The ta-ra-ra boogie, you mean?
Yeah. Over 30 years. Right, Rosalie? Over 30 years.
We've only been together 30.
But the Victorian Grannies, did they sing it?
Yeah.
They didn't sing it? All right, it's ours then. Seattle Raging Grannies.
We're a gaggle of grannies, urging you off of your fannies. Rise up and resist, we must persist, fight for our lives. The fascist want us all fearful, great power and riches we're tearful, 'cause millions are harmed, raise the alarm, fight for our lives. In every state are people refusing to comply with illegal orders. Hear the great outcry. So join this gaggle of grannies. Gather up your fannies. We can't let them win. Our future looks grim. Fight for our lives.
Let's hear it.
Fight for our lives.
Shout it out.
Fight for our lives. We won't let them win.
How about the Raging Grannies? So, and they were very speedy too, my goodness. We have about 25 minutes to the opening of the show, and we're putting our stage back together, so ignore me. And just, chat with your neighbors, stand up. Remember that across the hall, there are the representatives of our 2 beneficiary organizations. We're raising money tonight. Every penny that you put down for a seat in the House, that goes to Common Power and to the museum. And there's an opportunity to give more across the way. So, main show coming up soon. I'm warning you that we are 5 minutes from the start, so you want to start taking your seats. And if there are people in desperate need of playbills because somehow we're running out, I'm going to put these 4 outside at the box office. I'll be back in a few, and that will be the real kickoff. Previously announced, and I am with Resistance Theater, and I want to welcome you to our Night of Resistance through theater and our show, An American Pageant, a decalogue on the divided soul of the United States of America. 1 year after the dark day of his inauguration, we know why we're here. Resistance is not futile, but resistance is needed, and now. And this night is an opportunity for all of you to contribute to the front line of the resistance, here in the hall and out there via the live stream too. So without further ado, I give you an American Pageant.
America has forever had a divided soul, divided between the light and the dark, and struggling to choose between the two. As recent events so clearly confirm, that division and struggle continues to this day. Tonight, we will explore division and that struggle.
The Light, July 4, 1776. 2 days after voting that the United American Colonies were, quote, absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that, quote, political connection between them and the state of Great Britain was dissolved, the Continental Congress adopts a declaration authored by Thomas Jefferson of Virginia. In that declaration, the colonies, out of, quote, decent respect for the opinions of mankind, set forth the causes which they say have forced them to separate from Great Britain. But before listing those causes, the colonies offer a statement of the beliefs which they say will be the cornerstone of their new country.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to effect their safety and happiness. Who am I, you ask? I am Sally Hemings,
When the Declaration of Independence was adopted, I was 3 years old and the property of Thomas Jefferson. When I was 14, he took me, and I bore him children. Some say I did this willingly. I say I was a slave, and he was my master. The dark. An evening late in August 1619 in Jamestown, Virginia, several days before, a privateer had arrived and traded some 20 black Africans for supplies. The privateer had seized the Africans from a Portuguese slaver and was anxious to be rid of their stolen goods. So, what to do with these Africans? The governor of the colony is perplexed and turns to his closest counselor for advice.
Buying them was your idea, Abraham. I know we've got a severe labor shortage, but still, it isn't like having 20 or so Scots or Irish lads showing up, eager to serve out their indentures.
Well, I grant you that difficulty, Governor, but the fact remains that we don't have a law authorizing slavery like the ones they have in the Caribbean sugar colonies. And who knows when one will get into place. Until we do, we shall have to treat these people just like we would those Scots and Irish lads. We'll have to set them up as indentured servants. And as much as I don't like it, that also means giving them their freedom if they serve out their terms.
All right, I see your point. Make the necessary arrangements, but we also need to start work on a Barbados-style statute. If tobacco proves out as we hope, we're going to need that black labor just as much as the sugar plantations in the Caribbean need it.
Virginia would get its slavery statute, although it would take 43 years to make it so. And by the middle of the next century, when a royal decree legalized slavery in Georgia, all of the future United Colonies of the 1776 were slave colonies, just like their Caribbean sisters.
By the middle of the 1700s, the white colonists of the future United 13 had become quite comfortable with owning as their property black men, women, and children, who by then numbered in the hundreds of thousands. But they increasingly believed that their freedom was threatened by what they considered tyrannical actions of the mother country, the imposition of taxes and other restrictions by a parliament in which they had no representation.
How many of their slaves do you think had representation at the master's dinner table?
None, I'm quite sure. But self-awareness in such matters doesn't seem to have been a strong suit of these folks. And they were sincerely convinced that their freedom was threatened by measures being taken by the authorities back in London. Resistance to those measures spread and soon turned to violence, and the leaders of the colonies called for action.
James Otis.
The basis of our political systems is the right of the people to make and alter their constitutions of government. Resistance to tyranny becomes the utmost loyalty, and taxation without representation is tyranny.
Samuel Adams.
What liberty can there be where property is taken without consent? The House of Commons have deliberately assumed the power to dispose of our lives, our liberties, and our property. If the breath of a British House of Commons can originate an act for taking away all of our money, who will ride at ease while we are trodden in the dirt?
Patrick Henry.
Gentlemen may cry, peace, peace, but there is no peace. The war has actually begun. The next gale that sweeps from the north will bring to our ears the clash of resounding arms. Our brethren are already in the field. Is life so dear, or peace so sweet, to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty, or give me death.
The next gale that swept from the north did bring the clash of resounding arms. The American Rubicon was crossed at Lexington and Concord as the shots heard round the world signaled that American patriots were in deadly and revolutionary Ernest.
When God inspired us for the fight, their ranks were broke, their men perforce. Their ships were shattered in our sight, or swiftly driven from our coast. Let tyrants shake their iron rod, let slavery clang her galling chains. We fear them not, we trust in God, New England's God forever reigns.
Matters swiftly came to a head in the summer of 1776. The members of the Continental Congress were set on independence, but they also knew this course would put their very lives in jeopardy. It isn't hard to imagine that some of the founders may have hesitated on the brink, if only for a moment.
Tom Jefferson, what brings you over this night?
Well, Mr. Franklin, you still haven't signed that declaration I was asked to work up. So, I thought I'd come by with it and make it easy for you. Here it is.
Now, Tom, I talked to you about this. You're calling for the overthrow of the British government, and I'm a businessman. I've got to be careful. Sales on the stove are going well. Almanac made Book of the Month, and then there's the bag.
The what?
The magazine, you know, the Post. The one that I bring out every Saturday evening.
Oh, right. Ben, I understand you have to look out for your business interests, but truly, this is just a harmless piece of paper.
Oh, sure, harmless. I know how this works. You go to a harmless party, you sign a harmless piece of paper, and you forget all about it. The next thing you know, you're hauled up in front of some committee. Oh, no, I'm not going to spend the rest of my life writing in Europe.
Oh, come on.
Oh, come on, what?
Come on, put your name on the dotted line.
I got to be particular what I sign.
It's just a piece of paper.
Just a piece of paper, that's what you say.
Come on, put your signature on the list.
It looks to have a very subversive twist.
Come on, won't you assume it? Don't you nom de plume it. Today, you're so skittish. Who possibly could care if you do?
The Un-British Activities Committee. That's who.
Let's have a little Gringo and fill the quill.
That sounds a little pinko to me, but still.
So knock off the timid manner if you want a banner to wave.
Banner to wave.
You must take.
I must take
a stand.
No stand.
For this brave
new
land.
New land.
For who wants.
Who wants
to live.
To live.
So concerned.
So conservative. I don't diss.
You don't diss.
Agree.
But
a man can't be too careful what he signs these days. Satire. You tempt me to call this the happy hour of the American Revolution.
I think not. You seem to be forgetting the darker and very unfunny reason why some of the colonists decided to break with England. Patrick Henry had demanded liberty or death. But liberty to do what? And to whom?
You're right. All those southern slavers stood aloof when New England was battered by punitive taxes and occupied by British troops. But when Lord Mansfield ruled that any slave brought into England was automatically a free man.
Exactly, they panicked. They saw abolitionism suddenly gaining ground in the mother country. American slavery was no longer safe inside the British Empire. So the gentlemen slavers of the South joined with the money-grubbing merchants of the North.
And launched a rebellion they told the world through the Declaration of Independence was based on the self-evident truth that all men are created equal.
Not all white men, all men, period.
Right. And to the world's astonishment, they defeated the world's mightiest empire and won their independence. And that victory would come to inspire generations of revolutionists seeking freedom from tyranny around the world.
Let's not forget the dark side to that inspiring victory. That was felt by the black folks held in bondage. In all of those slave labor camps, the American slavers prettied up with the name plantation. The slaves knew that their victory, the victory for their white masters, would mean the end of any hope of liberation from England. Thousands of slaves used the chaos of war to make good their escape, stealing away from the new nation of America. Better to risk an unknown land than a known servitude. Steal away, steal away, oh Jesus. Steal away home. I ain't got long to stay here.
My Lord, he calls me by the thunder. The trumpet sounds within my soul. I've got long to stay. My Lord, he calls me by the lightning. The trumpet sounds within my soul. I ain't got long to stay here. Steal away, steal away, steal away to Jesus. Steal away home. I've got long to stay here.
Where is this boat taking us?
To Canada, they say.
What will we find there?
What we don't have here. Freedom.
When the 13 United Colonies won their independence in 1783, slavery was legal in all of them. But just 4 years later, when representatives of the now United States gathered in Philadelphia to craft a new constitution, slavery was suddenly on its back foot.
Yeah, because English abolitionism had crossed the Atlantic. Emancipation was underway in several of the 13 states.
Just so, and now at the Constitutional Convention, the slaver delegates received a very rude shock. A shock that infuriated Charles Coatsworth Pinckney of South Carolina, who would make that very clear to Roger Sherman of Connecticut.
I am telling you, Roger, the South is not going to stand for this insult. Our slave property is entitled to protection as much as any other, and this convention just denied us that right.
Oh, Charles, please, be reasonable. Look at all you have won from the rest of us. The 3/5 clause give slavery a big leg up in the House of Representatives and in the Electoral College. And the new Congress can't touch the slave trade until 1808. And with all that, you're still in a fit of pique because we wouldn't also pass a resolution saying in so many words that there is a right to property in a man?
Yes, because without it, we have no effective protection should an abolitionist government ever come to power. Take the slave trade. Congress can't touch it until 1808, but after that, it can abolish it altogether.
But by 1808, no one will care. Slavery is dying out, and you know it. The country's economic future is in the West, in Seattle. And none of your slave-based industries can flourish west of the Tidewater. 20 years from now, and a national emancipation law will pass by acclamation.
You can't know that future. Some clever Scott mechanic could invent a machine making the hardier strains of cotton profitable, in which case the men of Georgia and the Carolinas will forge a Western future based on cotton. And cotton requires black slave hands to pick it.
Oh, Charles, relax. Forget your mechanic. Deal with the facts as they are. Slavery in America has had its time, and that time is coming to an end.
That Sherman sure was sure of himself.
Yes, like so many others, Sherman thought he had the future of slavery all figured out.
Well, it was Pinckney, not Sherman, who proved the prophet. The clever mechanic turned out to be from Massachusetts, and Eli Whitney's cotton engine, or cotton gin for short, did turn the hardier strains of cotton, which could be planted west of the Tidewater, into a profitable crop. And if something can be done profitably in America, it will be done.
How true. And so, by the tens of thousands, white Americans seized the opportunity created by Mr. Whitney's machine. Pushing west, they drove out the indigenous peoples, the Cherokee, Choctaw, Creek, and Crow, and turned the lands they seized into a vast expanse of the white gold cotton.
Cotton picked by black slaves who yearned for delivery from the spreading hell of the cotton fields. When Israel was in Egypt's land, let my people go. Oppressed so hard they could not stand, let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land. Tell old Pharaoh to let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land. Tell old Pharaoh to let my people go. Yes, tell old Pharaoh to let my people go. But America's white pharaohs did not let their slaves go. There was no chance of that. For as they spread their fields of cotton across the Mississippi and into Louisiana and Arkansas, American slavers grew confident they were destined to take those fields all the way to the Pacific. And that would mean millions more black slave hands picking cotton on a chain of slave labor camps, pardon me, plantations, stretching from Georgia to California.
Benjamin, I'm so delighted you could drop by and visit a while this pleasant evening.
Samuel, I am never too busy to accept an invitation from my dear friend to join him on this delightful veranda and take in such a delightful view. The sunset promises to be truly magnificent.
When the drinks are ready, we must save the first toast for the health of our brilliant president and his triumph, bringing Texas into the Union. I just received word that the joint resolution of annexation has both houses of Congress.
A worthy toast. President Polk has kept his promise, and this will be a turning point for our country. It will put the abolitionists permanently back on their heels.
It's about time they were put back there. Too many Northerners have been paying too much attention to those raving lunatics. Have they forgotten Haiti? Have they forgotten the horrors that must ensue if black Africans ever manage to slip free of the chains? And this derangement is starting to have an effect on national politics. Look how Henry Clay warbled all over during the presidential campaign about whether Texas should join the Union, when everyone knew we needed Texas to tip the political balance back decisively in favor of slavery.
And thanks to Polk's election, we have Texas. There will be no holding back now. The railroad to the Pacific is open. Either Mexico sells us California and the country in between, or we crush them on the battlefield and take that land, and the good cotton country south of the Rio Grande as well. Frankly, I hope Mexican balks, so we could seize it all. Imagine the American flag waving from the battlements of Chapultepec.
Imagine the profits we will make from our cotton plantations in California.
Imagine, indeed.
And what of the black slave hands who would pick the cotton from which their owners would exact those profits? While the plantation owners and their financial backers in New York and London contemplated the prospect of ever-increasing wealth from cotton gold, the slaves whose uncompensated labor made those profits possible were determined to end their bondage. For tens of thousands, that meant a perilous escape to freedom, with only the stars to guide them.
Follow the drinking gourd, follow the drinking gourd, for the old man is waiting for to carry you to freedom. Follow the drinking gourd.
The riverbank makes a very good road. The dead trees will show you the way. Left foot, peg foot, traveling on. Follow the drinking gourd.
The river ends between two hills. Follow the drinking gourd. There's another river on the other side. Follow the drinking gourd. Follow the drinking gourd. Follow the drinking gourd. For the old days are waiting for to carry you to freedom. Follow the drinking gourd.
Many escaped to Canada and beyond. Many more, having escaped the slave South, tried to make a better life in what white Americans called the free states of the American Union. Some of those dedicated their lives to helping their comrades still in bondage escape, and still others became tireless advocates for the cause of abolition.
One of those was Frederick Douglass, an escaped slave who proved a speaker of unmatched eloquence. And on a 4th of July, before an overwhelmingly white audience in Rochester, New York, Douglass called out white America for the hypocrisy of celebrating the Declaration of Independence in a land blighted by slavery.
Ladies and gentlemen, the distance between this platform and the slave plantation from which I escaped, and the difficulties to be overcome in getting from the latter to the former, are by no means slight. That I am here today is to me a matter of astonishment. Today is the 4th of July. It is the birthday of your national independence and of your political freedom. What to the American slave is your 4th of July? I answer, a day that reveals to him, more than all other days in the year, the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is the constant victim. To him, your celebration is a sham. your boasted liberty an unholy license, your national greatness, swelling vanity. Your sounds of rejoicing are empty and heartless. Your denunciations of tyrants, brass-fronted impudence. Your shouts of liberty and equality, hollow mockery. Your prayers and hymns, your sermons and thanksgivings, with all your religious parade and solemnity are to him mere bombast, fraud, deception, impiety, and hypocrisy, a thin veil to cover up crimes which would disgrace a nation of savages. There is not a nation on earth guilty of practices more shocking and bloody than are the people of these United States at this very hour.
White America's black slaves did not accept their lot. Free blacks like Douglas protested. Many slaves escaped to freedom. Others rose up in bloody wrath, only to be crushed under by overwhelming white power, made so by vastly superior numbers. Blacks leading the fight for freedom soon came to recognize that the fight could not be won until a critical mass of white Americans realized that American slavery must be abolished.
Miss Truth.
Mr. Douglas, I am so pleased we can finally meet.
The honor is all mine. Please sit.
Thank you. These old bones do need support more than they used to.
Your bones have been at work in our struggle far longer than mine. They deserve a rest.
Oh, I do hope, Mr. Douglas, that when your bones are as old as mine, our struggle will be long past and the victory won. But sometimes I despair that these white people will never see the wrong that they have done and still do. And we can't win this fight until they come to see the right. There are too many to overcome on our own.
They are, indeed. But there are signs that more white people are prepared to speak out against injustice of their fellows, like William Lloyd Garrison, a powerful voice for our cause.
I am aware that many object to the severity of my language. But is there not cause for severity? I will be as harsh as truth, as uncompromising as justice. On this subject, I do not wish to think or speak or write with moderation. I am in earnest. I will not equivocate. I will not excuse. I will not retreat a single inch. And I will be heard.
A newspaper man? It will take far more than one white newspaper man to awaken the conscience of the non-slaver whites.
Indeed, Miss Truth, it will. I wonder just what it will take to do that.
What it took was overweening slaver arrogance.
By the 1840s, American slavery had been abolished in the North and Midwest, and the Missouri Compromise had confined slavery's westward growth to the country's southern territory. But then, Texas joined the Union, and as a slave state, Mexico refused to sell any of its territory west of Texas, and American arms took that land by force. Out of the booty of that war, California was admitted as a free state, but slavers demanded that the remainder of the territory, won from Mexico, be opened up to slavery.
And the slavers didn't stop there. Tearing up the Missouri Compromise, they demanded all of the country's territories be opened up to a kind of sick competition in which the white people of each territory would decide by majority vote whether they would come into the Union as a free state or a slave state. And the slavers also insisted they must be free to take their slaves anywhere in the Union, and that free state authorities be required to help slavers get back any slave who took a chance and bolted for their freedom.
And the slavers were in earnest about these demands.
And if the North resists,
My friend, we are done with the North. The sentimental republicanism of 1776 is finished. This country is to be a slave-holding empire, the future terror of the world. And we Southern slaveholders will be the elite of this empire. If the Yankees are willing to accept that, they can continue to do useful service through their banks and their textile mills. But if they balk, we will brush them aside and forge ahead on our own. The fact is, we don't need them anymore.
I believe I know what this evening toast will be.
I believe you do.
The slavers had gone too far. A genuine revulsion against slavery had been growing amongst the whites of the free states. The slaver demand that slavery must now be privileged throughout the Union collided with a spreading conviction that slavery must at least be limited to its present territory.
And a growing number of white Americans were ready to go further. John Brown had fought the slavers in the territory of Kansas to keep Kansas free. Heading east, he gathered a band of fighters, black and white. Brown was determined to light a fire of resistance he hoped would spread across the slaver South, speeding slavery's fall.
Brown's attempt failed, crushed at Harper's Ferry, Virginia, October of 1859. But Brown's stirring words to the court upon hearing his sentence of death, and the calm, brave example he set to the end, struck a deadly blow against the slave power in the hearts of the people of the North.
I have, may it please the court, a few words to say. Had I interfered in the manner which I admit, and which I admit has been fairly proved, had I so interfered on behalf of the rich, or the powerful, the intelligent, the so-called great, or in behalf of any of their friends, either father, mother, sister, wife, or children, or any of that class, and suffered and sacrificed as I have in this interference, well, then it would have been all right, and every man in this court would have deemed it an act worthy of reward rather than punishment. This court acknowledges, I suppose, the validity of the law of God. I see a book kissed there, which I suppose to be the Bible, or at least the New Testament. That teaches me that all things whatsoever that I would that men should do to me, I should do so to them. It further teaches me to remember them that are in bonds, as bound with them. I endeavored to act up to that instruction. I believe to have interfered as I have done, as I have always freely admitted I have done, in behalf of his despised poor, was not wrong, but right. Now, if it is deemed necessary that I should forfeit my life for the furtherance of the ends of justice and mingle my blood further with the blood of my children and with the blood of millions in the slave country whose rights are disregarded by wicked, cruel, and unjust enactments, I submit. So let it be done. I, John Brown, am now quite certain that the crimes of this guilty land can never be purged but with blood.
Brown's body lies a moldering in the grave. John Brown's body lies a moldering in the grave. John Brown's body lies a moldering in the grave. His soul goes marching on.
His soul did go marching on, and his example lit a fire in the minds of the white people of the North and of the South. In the North, that fire fueled a determination to resist slavery. In the South, that fire fueled fear of that determination.
And that determination and that fear collided at the polls the following November.
Now we'll show those slavers that the people are the boss in this democracy. We will!
Stevens, you know what we must do now.
Indeed I do, Hammond. It is time to wash our hands of a country that has fallen into the clutches of the mudsills, as you so aptly labeled them. We will organize a new union, a confederacy of slave states. And this time, we won't make the mistakes that those fools made in Philadelphia. Our new Constitution will make clear that slavery is our cornerstone, and its protection and promotion the paramount duty of government. Let us have done with that sentimental nonsense of the Declaration of Independence once and for all.
Bravo! What if the Yankees resist?
That rabble, if they do, they'll be finished off in an afternoon.
Well said. Cotton, after all, is king.
The Yankees did resist. So began the American Civil War.
Wait, I believe you mean the War of the Slaver Rebellion.
Excuse me?
The name of the war. Enough with the deliberately obscuring euphemisms. Call it what it was. The War of the Rebellion. That's what the federal government called it, until reconciliation between white folks after the war became more important than historical truth. And call it the War of the Slaver Rebellion. After all, it was the slavers who rebelled, and we damn well know why.
Fair point. Okay. War of the Slaver Rebellion, it is.
Right.
The Yankees did resist, and so began the War of the Slaver Rebellion. Under Abraham Lincoln's leadership, the United States raised up great armies and built a mighty navy. And as those armies struck hammer blows against the slave plantation heartland of the would-be Confederate States, the Navy throttled the South's cotton trade with a strangling blockade, toppling King Cotton from his throne.
Yes, we'll rally round the flag, boys, we'll rally once again, shouting the battle cry of freedom. We will rally from the hillside, we'll gather from the plain, shouting the battle cry of freedom. The Union forever, hurrah, boys, hurrah! Down with the traitors and up with the stars. While we rally round the flag, boys, we rally once again, shouting the battle cry of freedom.
Ah, who was this Lincoln who so successfully rallied the Union? A man of humble origins and a bone-deep believer in democracy. By 1858, Lincoln had come to see that the American slavery and the Declaration of Independence were fundamentally at odds. And as a candidate for the United States Senate in 1858, Lincoln was not afraid to say that truth out loud.
There is no reason in the world why the Negro is not entitled to all the natural rights enumerated in the Declaration of Independence. The right to life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. I hold that he is as much entitled to these as the white man. In the right to eat the bread without the leave of anybody else, which his own hand earns. He is my equal, and the equal of Judge Douglas, and the equal of every living man. That is the real issue. That is the issue that will continue in this country when these poor tongues of Judge Douglas and myself shall be silent. It is the eternal struggle between these two principles, right and wrong. Throughout the world, they are the two principles that have stood face to face from the beginning of time and will ever continue to struggle. The one is the common right of humanity. The other, the divine right of kings. It is the same principle in whatever shape it develops itself. It is the same spirit that says, you work and toil and earn bread, and I'll eat it. No matter in what shape it comes, whether from the mouth of a king who seeks to bestride the people of his own nation and live by the fruit of their labor, or from one race of men as an apology for enslaving another race, it is the same tyrannical
principle.
Now, to be sure, the Lincoln of 1858 did not believe in the full equality of black and white, nor did he support amending the Constitution to abolish slavery in the South. But then, caught up in the maelstrom of events that ultimately became the War of the Slaver Rebellion, Lincoln changed.
He changed in how he saw things. He came to see that this nation, dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal, would have to undergo a new birth of freedom. And he came to see that this new birth would require abolishing slavery if America was to live up to the promise of the Declaration of Independence.
Victory over the Slaver Rebellion was finally achieved in 1865, and by an army that included over 200,000 former slaves in its fighting ranks. And on the eve of that victory came Lincoln's last great act as president, to which he dedicated the full measure of his devotion: the passage of the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, abolishing slavery, thereby reconciling the Constitution to the principle of equal rights embodied in the Declaration of Independence.
And what of the emancipated slaves? They knew that the 13th Amendment, they knew what the 13th Amendment meant, and they celebrated that meaning in song. Oh, freedom, oh, freedom, oh, freedom over me. And before I'd be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free.
No more mourning, no more mourning, no mourning over me. And before I'd be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Now there'll be singing, now there'll be singing, now there'll be singing over me. Oh, before I'd be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Oh, freedom, oh, freedom, oh, freedom over me. Oh, and before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free.
We now have a 15-minute intermission. I want to remind you that this act of resistance is partly an act of supporting those who are on the front lines of the resistance. So visit the representatives of Common Power and the museum across the way. Look in your playbill. There are QR codes you can use. To those of you out there in the live stream world, we'll be displaying those QR codes for you as well, so you can participate as well. And I thank you now. Enjoy the 15 minutes. We will be back. getting close. Let's take our seats, and we will be ready to resume with part the second. First, they came for the communists.
And I did not speak out because I was not a communist.
Then they came for the socialists.
And I did not speak out because I was not a socialist.
Then they came for the trade unionists.
And I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist.
Then they came for the Jews.
And I did not speak out because I was not a Jew.
And then they came for me. And there was no one left to speak out for me.
For a time, following the slaver defeat, America moved forward to achieving fully the promise of the Declaration of Independence. The 14th and 15th Amendments promise equal protection of the laws and the right to vote.
But bitter resistance was stirring among whites who could not accept the loss of their privileged place in a changing land.
I tell you, Nathan, if this radical Republican reconstruction of the South goes forward, no sensible white man with money will put so much as a dime into the former Confederate states. That damn radical Lincoln is gone, thanks to Booth. But those crazies in Congress are even worse. We will not risk our money with state governments in the hands of poor white trash and, good God, your former slaves.
Henry, relax. Plans with which I am intimately familiar with are already underway to sabotage their so-called Reconstruction. White men will not stand to be reduced to the same level of equality as black men. We're going to use every means at our disposal to make sure that our former slaves, as you so politely describe them, stay away from the ballot box and stick to the cotton fields where they belong. And with the blacks out of the political picture, the poor whites will have no choice but to accept the return of the rule of people they know to be their betters.
Not that we need to know the details, but it sounds like you plan to send a guerrilla force of foot soldiers fanning out across the entire South.
Oh, not foot soldiers. I was a cavalryman, remember? We're going to send out men on horseback, thousands of them, night riders who will terrorize the blacks into submission. We're calling it the Ku Klux Klan.
Well, whatever you choose to do, we hope it works. The radical equality of this Reconstruction threatens the good order of the entire country, in the North as well as the South. Mudsills are still mudsills, wherever they may be found, and whatever the color of their skin. They must all be kept in their place, and by any means necessary.
We'll take care of ours. You take care of yours.
The Ku Klux Klan, along with many other white supremacist organizations, did strike terror across the South, murdering thousands. The federal government under President Grant fought back, But by the presidential election year of 1876, Southern white supremacists had managed to ride the wave of white terror back into power in all but a handful of the former Confederate states.
When whites in the North went to the polls that November, they did so weary of the cause of black freedom.
Weary of achieving equality for blacks had come to be seen as an obstacle to the good life for whites. Imagine that.
Imagine that, indeed. Whites were also pissed about an economy that had crashed 3 years before and was still mired in deep depression. The election was surprisingly close for all that, and ultimately had to be resolved by a white folks' compromise, under which the Republicans kept the White House, but the federal government abandoned the 4 million emancipated slaves to the tender mercies of their former masters.
Tender those mercies were not. By the 1890s, a program of constitutional change was underway in the former Confederate states, designed to wipe the overwhelming majority of African Americans from the voting rolls. And white political leaders were remarkably open about what they were doing.
Let's tell the truth if it bursts the bottom of the universe. We came here to exclude the Negro. Nothing short of this will answer.
And they did exclude the Negro. By 1910, over 90% of African Americans who had been on the voting rolls of the South 20 years before were gone from those rolls. And white Southerners could now with impunity impose slavery by another name.
And those constitutional amendments designed to prevent just such an attempt to restore white supremacy, well, constitutional amendments are of little use if the Supreme Court renders them a nullity.
Brown, I beseech you. The court must vote for Plessy and strike down Louisiana's separate railroad card law. If you let it stand, far worse is sure to come, and in every state that joined in the rebellion.
Harlan, save your breath. We all heard you before, and we are still in agreement. The Louisiana law will be upheld. Mr. Plessy needs to get over his perceived slight, as do any other Negroes offended by such laws. The Negroes must understand that they are not specially privileged wards of the Constitution, which was never meant to force the unnatural mingling of the races. It is time the former slaves start fending for themselves, like any white man is expected to do.
Then I will dissent, even if I must stand alone. For I know these white men of the South, and I know what they will be doing with the tools you will be handling to them. We have no caste system now. Our Constitution is supposed to be colorblind. We fought a bloody civil war to make that so. But you, sir, and those joining you are opening the door to the elevation of the white man over the black, and our country will suffer grievously for it.
Harlan proved a prophet. And the American caste system that Harlan warned of was not confined to what came to be called the Jim Crow South. In a further betrayal of the Declaration of Independence, an American apartheid spread across the country.
White supremacy became the organizing rule in every city, town, and hamlet, east, north, and west, as well as south. Hundreds of towns and whole counties were outright ethnically cleansed, their black populations driven out by violence.
Go on! Get out of here! Take your family and don't come back! If you do, none of you will live to see the next sunrise.
Those driven out knew not to return, for they knew the ultimate tool for maintaining American apartheid was the lynching rope deployed by the lynch mob. Thousands of blacks perished at the hands of the lynch mob, who time and time again made such murders a veritable community festival of hate. East and north and south and west, but foremost in the former slave South.
The true nature of inhuman terror frequently is best expressed by poetry put to music. Prose just isn't up to the job. So it has been with lynching in America. It is 1939. Billie Holiday, one of the greatest singing artists of the 20th century, steps to the microphone in the Commodore studio to record a new song written by Abel Maripol based on a poem he published 2 years before. The song's title, Strange Fruit.
Southern trees bear strange fruit, blood on the leaves and blood at the root, black bodies swinging in the southern breeze, strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees, pastoral scene of the gallant South, bulging eyes and the twisted mouth, scent of magnolias, sweet and fresh, then the sighing smell of burning flesh. Here is a fruit for the crows to pluck, for the rain to gather, for the wind to suck, for the sun to rot, for the tree to drop. Here is a strange and bitter crop. There was resistance to American apartheid, just as there had been resistance to slavery. Black and white Americans spoke out against Jim Crow, against lynching, and millions of Black Americans voted with their feet, leaving the South for points north and west. They faced discrimination and race hatred wherever they went. But in these new places, at least they could do something almost none of them could do in the former Confederate States. They could go to the polls and vote.
Then came the crisis of the Great Depression.
Let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Nameless, unreasoning, unjustified terror that paralyzes the needed efforts to convert retreat into advance.
It was the time of the New Deal. African Americans benefited from the alphabet soup of Roosevelt programs. Even more important, though, their right to vote outside the Jim Crow South allowed them to become part of a new national political coalition, the Roosevelt Coalition.
And at the highest levels of this coalition were those who rejected the legitimacy of American apartheid and who were prepared to take action against it.
It is the eve of Easter Sunday, April 1939. The great contralto, Marian Anderson, was to have performed at Constitution Hall, headquarters of the Daughters of the American Revolution. But some of the daughters were horrified at the idea of a black woman entering its august precincts and canceled Anderson's appearance.
What about those black women they hired to clean those fancy precincts?
The Daughters of the American Revolution evidently were just as lacking in self-awareness as many of the white revolutionists they idealized.
And just how long do we have to wait before these people become self-aware and stop pulling all this crap?
A fair point, to which I do not have an answer other than to say it still is yet to happen. One member of the DAR, however, was self-aware. Eleanor Roosevelt, First Lady and a senior member, was outraged and determined to take action.
I am through with these bigots. Write out my letter of resignation and I will sign it today.
And get me Haroldickies and Interior. Marian Anderson will perform in the city and at a place of honor much greater than that drafty Constitution Hall.
And so it came to pass on that Easter Sunday that Marian Anderson performed on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. Before a crowd of tens of thousands, her voice carried throughout the nation on the radio.
My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee we sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside let freedom ring.
And where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring.
A chance for a national change, of course, was definitely in the air. Then came war on a scale never seen in human history. Hitler overran France. As Great Britain stood alone against the Nazis, Franklin Roosevelt declared America must be an arsenal of democracy.
Then, Hitler invaded Russia. America aided the Allies and waited for the blow that would put her fully into the fight. It came in December 1941. Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. And Hitler declared war on the United States. The isolationists and Nazi fellow travelers were swept aside. So long, Lindbergh. And Americans rallied to the cause.
This is the army, Mr. Jones. No private rooms or telephones. You've had your breakfast in bed before, but you won't have it there anymore.
Anchors away, my boys, anchors away. Farewell to foreign shores, we sail at break of day.
It's a grand old flag, it's a hot white flag, and forever in peace may you wave. You're the emblem of the land I love, the home of the free and the brave.
God rest America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home.
African Americans joined in the rally, but they were determined to fight for victory against the fascists abroad and the white supremacists at home. A double V for victory!
The first V is for victory over our enemies from without. The second V is for victory over our enemies from within. For those who perpetuate these ugly prejudices here are seeking to destroy our democratic form of government, as surely the Axis forces of Germany and Japan.
And African Americans were joined by Asian Americans, Latino Americans, and Native Americans For all Americans of color recognized that this war had opened the door to a multicolored assault on the citadels of American white supremacy, starting with its ultimate bastion, the nation's armed forces. And as the war ground on, that bastion began to yield.
I am telling you, gentlemen, this colored business is going too far. If we don't draw a firm line now, we are going to find ourselves back on our heels when victory comes. And the United States Marine Corps is not going to stand for it.
Not going to stand for what? What are you complaining about? The Corps has had to make damn few concessions to this desegregation business, and you know it. And from what I've seen so far, what desegregation the Navy has undertaken hasn't hurt one bit. We just commissioned 13 Negro ensigns, and they happen to be the best, finest bunch of officers I've yet to see.
I've got to say that I'm with the Navy on this. Our experience in the Air Corps has been just the same. The blacks out of Tuskegee are flying our combat missions and doing as well as any bunch of pilots we've ever put up in the air. Maybe even better.
I can't believe that as solid a couple of white men as you, Ernest, and you have, could be spouting such nonsense. George, you're a Virginia Military Institute man. Surely you can see that this has got to stop before it runs away from all of us.
No, I don't see it that way. The Army has put Negroes in tanks, and they're proving as able tank men as any white boy from Virginia or anywhere else. The Negroes, and for that matter, every color troop of whatever sort we have, those Japanese boys fighting in Italy, the Navajo code talkers out of the Pacific, the Mexicans, are all proving they can fight, and as well and as bravely as white boys. I don't know where this is going to end, except I do know we are not going back to the way it was before we got into this fight.
In 1945, the Axis folded up. Victory was won. But as the troops started coming home, some white Americans were determined to put the national racial order back the way it was before the war, as some white Americans had done at the end of World War I 26 years ago. But this time an act of terrible racist brutality against a soldier of color would collide with the man sitting behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office.
Mr. President, allow me to introduce Mr. Walter White, the Executive Director of the NAACP. Mr. White has asked for a meeting to present some disturbing news about what is happening to our Negro veterans returning home from the war.
Thank you, Clark. Mr. White, delighted to meet you. What you have to say sounds important, so let's get right to it. I'm all ears.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your assistant, Mr. Clifford, was most helpful in getting me in to see you, and I will get right to it. The NAACP has been receiving reports from around the country, but particularly from the South, that returning Negro veterans are being attacked by white mobs. The situation is deteriorating rapidly, Mr. President. I'm worried we could be in for a repeat of what happened in 1919.
Yes, I remember there were some flare-ups back then between white and black mobs.
Well, however one characterizes what happened back then, what is happening now involves attacks by whites targeting individual Negro servicemen, and just because they are Negro servicemen.
Well, naturally, I'm appalled by that kind of conduct, but isn't this a matter for the local authorities?
That's the problem, Mr. President. The local authorities are carrying out some of these attacks. Allow me to illustrate, if I may.
Go on.
Just a few weeks ago, a Negro Army sergeant named Isaac Woodard was traveling home to Georgia on a bus passing through South Carolina. The bus driver became angry with Woodard, and at the next stop he went and got the local police. They took Woodard off the bus, took him to the jail, and beat him so badly they blinded him.
That's outrageous.
It gets worse.
How could it get worse?
Sergeant Woodard was wearing his uniform when they beat him.
I've heard enough. Mr. White, you have the attention of the President of the United States and the government of the United States. And the President is going to see that action is taken by that government. I will meet with the Attorney General about this today.
Thank you, Mr. President.
No, thank you, Mr. White. You will be hearing from me soon. There is much to be done. Clark, about what happened in 1919?
Yes, sir.
They weren't flare-ups. They were riots. Race riots. White race riots. There were no black mobs, only white ones. White men beating up on black men, women, and children, beating on them and killing some of them across the length and breadth of this land for no reason than to prove that the white man is on top and the black man better make damn sure he knows his place. It was absolutely sickening, and that segregationist prig, Wilson, wouldn't lift a finger to stop it. Well, I'm about to lift a lot more than a finger. We are going to stop it. All of it. We're going to put these white race haters in their place. Permanently. This country is finally going to live up to the promise of the Declaration of Independence, no matter the color of someone's skin. At least as long as I have anything to say about it. And as president, I damn well do.
Yes, Mr. President.
Truman proved to have a lot to say, and he followed up those words with action, doing more for civil rights than any president since Lincoln and Grant, including desegregation of the armed forces and supporting Thurgood Marshall and his NAACP legal team in their court campaign against Jim Crow, which culminated in 1954 with Brown versus Board of Education, striking down school segregation.
The law of the land was finally turning against white supremacy.
Only after helping it out for 3 generations.
I suppose I could say better late than never.
But you're not going to say that, are you?
No, I most certainly am not. Even as Marshall triumphed over school segregation in court, the forces of white supremacy were organizing to mount a campaign of massive resistance to frustrate that legal victory. Just 2 years after Brown, the overwhelming majority of Southern senators and representatives, every one of them white, signed on to a manifesto declaring their defiance of the Supreme Court of the United States.
Something more was needed than lawsuits. And as segregationists determined to defy the federal courts, there emerged a new force, a movement from deep within the African American community, led by a young Baptist minister from Montgomery named Martin Luther King, who was inspired by the sterling example of Mohandas Gandhi from India.
The key to the whole thing is Gandhi's idea of satyagraha, a holding firmly to the truth. Like the Indians, we must be nonviolent. But also like them, we must be strong in our nonviolence. We must confront the racist and force them by our very act of peaceful defiance to reveal themselves for all to see, just as Gandhi did to the British in India. We must make white Americans understand that they can have white supremacy, or they can have the Declaration of Independence, but not both.
And so, starting in Montgomery, Alabama, American Satyagraha was launched, and it soon came fully to reveal the brutal reality of American white supremacy for all to see.
Shall overcome some. we shall overcome someday.
The climax came in Birmingham, Alabama in the spring of 1963. The civil rights leadership had decided to confront segregation in the city that symbolized more than any other the brutality of white supremacy. And when local white ministers criticized the actions of the protesters who had been set upon with fire hoses and dogs while praising the police for their restraint, Martin Luther King Jr. answered from his cell in Birmingham's jail.
Over the last few years, I've been gravely disappointed with the white moderate. I have almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro's greatest stumbling block in the stride toward freedom is not the white citizens counselor, or the Ku Klux Klaner, but the white moderate, who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, to the positive peace, which is the presence of justice. You warmly commended the Birmingham police force for keeping order and preventing violence. I don't believe you would have been so warmly commending the police force if you had seen its angry, violent dogs literally biting 6 unarmed, non-violent Negroes. I wish you had commended the Negro demonstrators of Birmingham for their sublime courage, their willingness to suffer, and their amazing discipline in the midst of a most inhuman provocation. One day, the South will recognize the real heroes. They will be the Jane Merediths, courageously and with the majestic sense of purpose, facing jeering and hostile mobs and the agonizing loneliness that characterizes the life of the pioneer. They will be young high school and college students, young ministers of the gospel, and a host of their elders, courageously and nonviolently sitting in at the lunch counter and willingly going to jail for consciousness' sake. One day, the South will know that when these disinherited children of God sat down, they were in reality standing up for what the best in the American dream and the most sacred values of our Judeo-Christian heritage.
The political dam broke. President John F. Kennedy finally seized the political nettle. Kennedy, a deep student of history, found himself increasingly in awe of the bravery and dignity of black folks as they set out time and again peacefully to demand equality of right with white folks. Kennedy also found himself increasingly shocked by the viciousness of Southern resistance to granting those rights. And after Birmingham, Kennedy knew he had to act.
So tell me, why did it take him so long to get off his duff and do the right thing?
Well, for one thing, he had to unlearn a lot he'd been taught about Reconstruction in school, at Harvard, no less. Read his book, Profiles in Courage, the one for which he won a Pulitzer Prize. You wouldn't know there was such a thing as the Ku Klux Klan.
Really? Well, so much for Harvard.
Bobby, I know we can't put this off any longer. These people are just unbelievable. They evidently will do anything to hang on to Jim Crow, including lie to the President of the United States. They think they can get away with it. It is so obvious to me now that everything we were taught in school about the radical black tyranny of Reconstruction was flat out wrong. And I assure you, I am through with all of that.
I'm glad to hear it. Dr. King will be too.
Show him in.
Dr. King.
Dr. King, I'm very glad you could make this meeting.
So am I, Mr. President. I understand from the Attorney General there is some good news.
Yes, there is. If not for the brave work done by all of you in Birmingham, we probably would not be meeting now. But you showed us the way, and we are going to act. I will be presenting a civil rights bill to Congress, the whole 9 yards, public accommodations, voting rights, the works. And I will be addressing the nation about how we must make that bill law.
This is indeed good news. It's been a long time coming, but that day is finally here.
Too long coming. Far too long. I know that. Now. The day is here, and we are going to get this done. My fellow Americans, we are confronted primarily with a moral issue. It is as old as the scriptures and as clear as the American Constitution. The heart of the question is whether all Americans are to be afforded equal rights and equal opportunities, whether we are going to treat our fellow Americans as we want to be treated. If an American, because his skin is dark, cannot eat lunch in a restaurant open to the public, if he cannot send his children to the best public school available, if he cannot vote for the public officials who will represent him, if, in short, he cannot enjoy the full and free life which all of us want, then who among us would be content to have the color of his skin changed and stand in his place? Who among us would then be content with the counsels of patience and delay? 100 years of delay have passed since President Lincoln freed the slaves, yet their heirs, their grandsons, are not fully free. They are not yet freed from the bonds of justice. They are not yet freed from the bonds of injustice. They are not yet freed from social and economic oppression. And this nation, for all its hopes and all its boasts, will not be fully free until all its citizens are free. Now the time has come for this nation to fulfill its promise.
It would take 2 more years with more brutality and murderous violence to be endured, including the murder of the president who had called upon the nation to finally fulfill the promise of the Declaration of Independence. But with the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, the country was at least now set on a path towards establishing the multiracial democracy almost achieved 100 years before, only to be lost to the forces of white supremacist backlash and profiteering and indifference.
It was our nation's second chance to get it right, if we could stay the course and see it through. A second Reconstruction.
We shall overcome. We have begun to overcome, and we shall finally and fully overcome.
The democracy launched in the Second Reconstruction would be for all races, for all colors, and a key step towards achieving a fully multiracial democracy would be reopening the golden door to America, slammed shut by the White Racist Immigration Act of 1924.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I was just reading the news about the new Immigration Act that Congress passed.
Yeah, I saw that too. I still can't quite believe it. after 40 years, white America has rediscovered the Statue of Liberty?
Well, not quite. If it had, they would have scrapped limits on immigration altogether. And they aren't about to do that, not with the fear in some quarters that too many Mexicans are coming across the border. But it is a big change nonetheless. It means many more people will be able to come from places like the Caribbean and India, and they will come. American racism notwithstanding, this country still is the land of opportunity.
And they will change things when they get here, the way the Irish and the Italians did. Except they will be too brown to pass for white. The Irish and the Italians wanted to join the white man's club, and they pretty much did, all too fully. Our people won't be given that chance, and that will be a good thing, because it will force them to demand an end to this white supremacy, if they are fully to prosper in the land of opportunity.
And they will demand it. And they will figure out the American political trick of building coalitions to get what they want. And unless the white racists tumble to where all this could take the country and go back to the good old days, when the chances that the likes of you and me getting in were slim to none, someday those racists will wake up and find out that white supremacy has been voted down simply because people of color will be the new majority.
Not Donald. Let's slow down just a bit. That dream of yours is still a long way off. But I agree that when the new folks start voting, the white politicians, at least the ones close by, will have to listen or lose their jobs.
Speaking of listening, do I hear our baby?
Oh yes, it is time for Kamala's feeding.
The struggle for democracy for all races, all colors, would be joined by a struggle to expand the promise of equality set forth in the Declaration of Independence to women as well as men.
The Declaration did miss the boat on women, didn't it?
Well, not for lack of trying, just by some of the women back then.
That's it! The Declaration of Independence is adopted by the Continental Congress. We not only voted for independence, but this declaration is a powerful statement that will show the justice of our cause to the whole world.
John, this is wonderful news. Here, please sit down and let me take a moment to read it through.
Abigail? What is it, dear?
Didn't I tell you to remember the ladies?
Oh, right. Damn, Jefferson!
Well, what does she expect? If you're not in the room when the men decide, then this is what is going to happen.
But true. And it would take nearly another 150 years for women finally to win the right to vote and join the men in the voting booth.
And even then, they remain subject in every other way to the suffocating constraints of the patriarchy that told women their place was in the home and that men would make the decisions that would shape their lives, including the ultimate decision whether to bear children.
True again.
But there were brave women working to end the denial of a woman's right to control her body. And in 1973, their cause triumphed in a monumental victory for female freedom and equality.
What is it? What happened?
They've done it! The Supreme Court! They've actually done it. That bunch of men has actually gone and done it.
No. The case? The one young lawyer, what is her name? Ginsburg? That's it, Ruth Ginsburg. The one she brought, she won?
Yes, that case, Roe versus Wade. I just heard it on the radio. The Supreme Court voted 7-2 to strike down that Texas abortion ban. According to what I heard, the court has recognized that a woman has a constitutional right to choose to control her body. There will be limits, of course. It sounds like the court has come up with some sort of medical rule that will limit abortion when a fetus is no longer a fetus, but a truly viable baby that can survive on its own. But that still means that the poor girls and women that we have been helping all these years
will be free to choose. Yes. The terror of being sent to prison, of your doctor being sent to prison, it's over. Hell, the terror that you and I might go to prison for trying to help this woman, that's over too.
Yes, all those years, all those women we were unable to help, all of that suffering, why did it take so long? Why did it take so long for these men to see how wrong it was?
I don't know. I don't think we can ever know. All we know is that 7 members of the Supreme Court of the United States, all men, did finally see.
Yes, they did. And now we have to make damn sure that some other bunch of men don't send us back.
Amen to that.
Equal pay, equal work, and above all, the right to control their bodies. The second Reconstruction saw women achieve all of those rights under the law. And this expansion of the promise of equality set forth in the Declaration of Independence was soon joined by gay men and lesbian women who achieved the right to equality of treatment for their relationships.
And is that not the ultimate equality? The right to love whomever one loves, whatever their gender, their sexual orientation, or the color of their skin.
In my dreams, I never saw you. Someone else was in your place. In those dreams that came before you, I was frightened by your face. Now you're standing here, right here before me, and I don't know what to do. Should I run or stay forever? Do I dare to dream of you?
In my dreams, I felt you near me, forbidden, but still there. In my dreams, I knew you'd fear me, but I thought I wouldn't care. Now you're standing here, right here before me, and I don't know what to do. Should I run or stay forever? Do I dare to dream of you? There's never any chance or any time to find the one you really love, really love.
you're standing here, right here before me, and I don't know what to do. Should I run or stay forever? Do I dare dream of you? Do I dare to be with you?
In modern parlance, we call it backlash. Thus we speak of the white backlash that began to gather strength even before the ink was fully dry on the Civil Rights and the Voting Rights Act. This is what has always happened whenever anyone in America tries to move this country towards realizing the promise of the Declaration of Independence. Always those who feel their privilege is threatened, whether rooted in the color of their skin, their gender, or their sexual orientation, have moved to suppress that threat.
And the defenders of these privileges have always shown they are willing to use any means they deem necessary to preserve those privileges, including violence. Because at bottom, white supremacism and all of its kissing authoritarian cousins are based on violence. The victims of these authoritarian systems are supposed to submit, and if they won't, they will be beaten down until they do. Violence is the ultimate expression of the dark side of the American soul. So it has been from the beginning of our history, and so it continues today.
To be sure, American authoritarians often also try to prevail at the ballot box, because that is, after all, the American way. But if they cannot, American authoritarians have always been ready to switch to that other American way, violence.
And sometimes, and especially when it comes to race, American authoritarians have pursued both ways at the same time. They did so in their successful fight to overthrow the first Reconstruction and impose American apartheid. They did so again in their fight to defeat the Civil Rights Movement, and many paid the ultimate price of that violence. Say his name!
Emmett Till.
Say his name.
Medgar Evers.
Say her name!
Eddie Collins.
Say her name.
Carol McNair.
Say her name!
Carol Robinson.
Say her name.
James Chaney.
Say his name!
Cynthia Wesley.
Say his name.
Andrew Goodman.
Say her name!
Michael Schwirmer.
Say her name.
Viola Liuzzi.
Say
all their names.
You know these names. There were so many more you should also know.
But violence failed against the Civil Rights Movement. This time the white majority did not turn its back on justice. White supremacy lost in the halls of Congress and in the courtrooms. And by the end of 1965, the Second Reconstruction was fully underway.
White supremacists, however, remained determined to maintain their supremacy, however they could. And there were politicians eager to exploit white fears of the end of their privileged status. And those fears were not limited to the white South.
Mr. Atwater, it is a pleasure to meet you. We have heard many good things about your talent for running winning political campaigns.
It is my pleasure to meet you, Mr. Baker.
Please sit down. Tell me about your Southern strategy. I believe that is what it is called. For getting Vice President Bush elected, the next President of the United States.
Gladly. My strategy, contrary to what you have heard, is not a Southern strategy. It is a national strategy. What I propose to appeal to is that bit of the South found everywhere in this country. Nixon did it, Reagan did it, and now George Herbert Walker Bush is going to do it.
And just what is that bit of the South you say is found everywhere in this country?
Just this. Most white Americans don't want to have anything to do with black Americans. Oh, they accept them now in sports and in shows. But when it comes to their neighborhoods, their schools, where they worship, it might as well be 1933 as 1988. Nothing has changed. White people didn't want to be around blacks then, and they still don't. Most of the white people anyway, including most of them that vote.
But something has changed. We had a civil rights revolution, so-called, and that revolution has changed the law.
Exactly right. What has changed is now we have laws that say whites can't have what they want. So now we have to pretend that no decent, self-respecting white man any longer wants what white folks used to want, all the while coming up with ways to make clear to white folks that we will get around those laws and keep things the way whites still want them to be.
But how do we do that when we can no longer say we are going to do that?
Exactly right again. We can no longer say the words we used to be able to say to make sure white voters knew what we were going to do for them, especially not that word. But we can speak in code. We can say we are against forced busing and welfare cheats. And we can say we are against crime, drug crime, violent crime. And we can put a black face to crime, a very specific face, in fact. Mr. Baker, you just sit right there and let me paint a picture of what we're going to do. We'll be showing a face all over the place to scare the white folks so they again vote their race. Yes, Willie Horton's coming to town.
But who, pray, is this Horton? Just what has he done? We are way down in the polls right now. This is no longer fun.
It's not just his face, he's got a rap sheet as well. Those suburban housewives will freak out when we tell how the liberals want to let Willie loose in their town.
I see what you mean. It's all about fear, and white folks don't want scary men to be near. So we win their votes, keeping Willie away from their town.
You got it now, Mr. Baker. Keep Willie away from their town. Keep Willie away from their town. Vote GOP and keep him away from your town. Yes, we're going to put a black face on crime, Willie Horton's face. And we're going to pin that face on that liberal Massachusetts snob and sweep the vice president into the White House. Because white voters will know what we really are saying. Because notwithstanding all of those laws, this is still a white man's country. That may change someday, but it hasn't yet.
Atwater did pin Willie Horton's face on Michael Dukakis, and George H.W. Bush was swept into the White House. And in 1991, he replaced Thurgood Marshall on the Supreme Court of the United States with a man named Clarence Thomas.
But the demographic foundations upon which Atwater grounded Bush's victory were eroding. Ever since the Immigration Act of 1965, millions from Latin America, Africa, and Asia had been coming to America, and in numbers that promised to help make white Americans a minority, including at the ballot box. Many of those white Americans saw this change was coming and were determined to prevent it. John Tanton, the founder of the, quote, Federation for American Immigration Reform, made this perfectly clear.
For a European American society and culture to persist, it requires a European American majority, and a clear one at that.
And to the opponents of immigrants of color were added the opponents of equality for women. Some American women actually wanted a return to the days when men ran the show at work and in politics, and women kept to the hearth and home. And there were women prepared to lead the fight to put their gender back into the home, even if many other American women did not want to be put back. Phyllis Schlafly was one of those leaders.
A woman should have the right to be in the home as a wife and mother. Women have babies and men provide the support. If you don't like the way we're made, well, take it up with God.
And speaking of God, many who called themselves Christians were determined to drive gay and lesbian folks back into the closet. Never mind the biblical command to love thy neighbor, or the constitutional command to separate church and state. And no one more powerfully embodied this determination than James Dobson, of Focus on the Family.
The homosexual activist movement and related entities have been working to implement a master plan that has as its centerpiece the weakening or destruction of the family. We need a moral and spiritual awakening from the cultural miasma into which we have sunk, and we need it now.
The tipping point for this panorama of reactionary resistance came in 2008 when Barack Hussein Obama, a black man, was elected president. Obama's election set off a chain reaction of fear, followed by a galvanizing determination to come together and save America.
In 2016, these forces found their leader in Donald John Trump, who promised he would take power and, quote, make America great again. And Trump won the presidency. But 4 years later, confronted with the once-in-a-century crisis of the COVID pandemic, Trump fumbled.
Facing re-election defeat, Trump turned to the good old American authoritarian playbook, violence. His attempted coup failed, but barely. And then Attorney General Merrick Garland dithered, and when he finally moved against the nation's leading insurrectionist, it was too late. Chief Justice John Roberts would see to that.
Bidding to regain power, Trump rallied his MAGA movement, and he stirred up his followers with the hate-filled rhetoric of fascist past. Yes, Donald, there was an echo. There is an echo.
And to the hateful rhetoric of old, his followers added a new eliminationist hate, tailor-made for this country. Century.
The one issue that I think is so against our senses, so against the natural law, and dare I say a throbbing middle finger to God, is the transgender thing happening in America right now. It is important to remember Deuteronomy 25. A woman shall not wear a man's garment, nor shall a man put on a woman's cloak. For whomever does these things is an abomination to the Lord, your God.
Here then was the Trumpian promise as Americans went to the polls on November 5th, 2024, to make America, once again, a land where white folks are supreme and white men are in charge. A land where, once again, they can close the door of opportunity to, to anyone who does not look like them. A land where women and their bodies, whatever their color, are once again subject to whatever white men choose to make of them or do with them. And a land where gays and lesbians are forced back into that closet where once again they must live lives of quiet and lonely desperation. And where trans people don't get to live at all.
Then they came for me.
But there was no one left to speak for me.
On November 5th, 2024, Donald Trump rolled over a feckless Democratic Party and won a second term as President of the United States. And so, here we are, 1 year since Donald Trump was sworn into that second term. And from the moment of that inauguration, the agents of MAGA have been implementing their dark vision for our country.
Their chosen device? A flood of presidential executive orders, courtesy of the folks of Project 2025. It has been an astonishing act of regime consolidation. The Germans had a word for consolidation in 1933. They called it Gleichschaltung. But the breadth and speed of Trump's consolidation has put Adolf Hitler's in the shade.
But don't take our word for it. Let Stephen Miller himself, Donald Trump's master of the fascist dark arts, tell you how it is being done, aided by his inimitable sidekick, Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth.
We're here to spread chaos, confusion, and fear. That's why we're here. To spread chaos, confusion, and fear. We are the storm. Cool, I like storms. That's why we're here. To spread chaos, confusion, and fear. Chaos, confusion, and fear. We are the storm. The storm. America should be a pure society, made up of purebred stock. No red commies, no refugees, only those who are on the list. In a land where color doesn't exist, literally. Don't give me your tire, don't give me your poor. Only the productive matter, and what's more, we're closing the gates, we're slamming them shut. It's pay to play now, or you're having your butt. Unless you're a fan of Caesar Octavian or a white South African. Yeah! Out with your butt. It's gotta be tight, cause we're gonna drop quarters. God knows we need fit generals to patrol those borders. We don't follow the advice of scientists who experiment on swimming shrimp and gerbils. Google it. Instead, our paragons toe the line like Lenny Riefenstahl and Goebbels. Riefenstahl and Goebbels! Who? Shut up and sing. Right. Gerbils. Great idea. We'll put our enlisted men on hamster wheels so they'll all look good in briefs. They'll be in peak physical condition, just like our commander-in-chief. Ha!
Missed me.
Trump's presidential power is plenary. That means absolute. Absolutely. So if you're an illegal or a democrat, your future's a shitty crapshoot. Shitty crapshoot! Nice for once. Thanks, boss. I mean, Steven. And now for a letter from our mailbox. One of our readers asks, was it legal, the capture of Maduro? Pete? Why, sure. Just ask the Politburo. And speaking of crappy shooting, no fatties in the army, no woozy sinking hearts. We'll shave their chests and cut your beards and teach you how to fart. We'll still take beefy broads, but you'll have to look like men. And we'll take any faith you profess, as long as you're born again. Let us be clear. No one who's queer, no mail-in votes, or Venezuelan boats. And if you throw something at ice, like a sandwich, ooh, that sounds nice, we're prepared to extradite
place to get a bite.
What's our motto? No more fatties.
No!
Chaos, confusion, and fear.
Right! And after all that, a beer, 2 or 3 or 4.
No! Chaos, confusion, and fear.
That's why we're here. We are the storm, the storm, the storm, the storm.
And there is nothing you can do to stop us.
Oh, yes, there is. We can resist.
And we are resisting.
The people are resisting in their millions by vast, peaceful protest.
Communities are resisting ICE and its masked terror teams.
State and local leaders are resisting the attempted invasion of their states and cities with hijacked troops.
All of these resistance and many more recognize that Trump and his gang are bent on taking power and never letting it go. And all resistance need our support to help them to resist now.
We must take courage from the example of those who gave us the Declaration of Independence. We must fight to preserve the chance that someday America will finally, forever, step fully out of the dark tunnel of tyranny and into the bright sunshine of freedom for all.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all people are created equal. I lived through segregation in the South in Georgia. I lived through women having no choice. I lived through people being told who they can love, and all of us in this room are living proof that history can and must continue to move forward, not backward.
You have seen here tonight, on this screen, the faces of many who paid the ultimate price for freedom for all during the days of the Civil Rights Movement. And you have heard their names called out lest they be forgotten. They were all struck down by hate-filled violence.
And now they're being joined by those being struck down today by the violent forces of resurgent hate. Renee Good, say her name.
Renee Good!
Everyone, say her name.
Renee Good! Renee Good!
90 years ago, when the forces of hate came for their victims in a land across the sea, those who should have spoken up did not. Now, here in America, they are coming for us all.
And we are speaking up.
We are standing up.
We are resisting.
We must resist, we can resist, and we will resist.
We will fight for the day when our country at last fully and forever lives up to the promise of the Declaration of Independence.
For when that day comes, we will finally truly be able to say, in the words of the song, that this land is your land, and this land is my land, a land made for you and me and every American. This land is your land.
And this land is our land.
From California
to the New York Island.
From the redwood forest
to the Gulf Stream waters.
This land was made for you and me.
That's right, everybody sings.
I went walking that ribbon of highway. I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. When the sun came shining and I was strolling, with the wheat fields waving and the dust clouds rolling, a voice was chanting. is your land, this land is my land, from California to New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me.
Good night, good luck, and remember, resist!
Resist!
Thank you. One last word. Remember, our resistance tonight is also to help those organizations that are on the front line of the resistance. So remember your QR code, remember the folks across the hall, and remember those QR codes out there. Good night, good luck, and resist!